Osborne lost more than 42 pounds using Ozempic.
The conversation around GLP-1 medications in Hollywood isn't fading, it's accelerating.
In the United States, about 15 million Americans have used weight loss drugs in the last year.
And the women now at the center of it are some of the most recognized people on the planet. Grammy winners who built entire careers on celebrating their curves. Oscar-winning legends whose audiences have followed them for decades. Pop stars whose own lyrics no longer match the person performing them. Some of these women have been completely honest about it. Others have denied everything, while the internet connects the dots without them. And a few of these stories go somewhere genuinely unexpected. If you're not subscribed yet, now's the time. This channel goes deeper than the headline, and once you see what's coming, you'll understand why people keep coming back. Olivia Wilde. Olivia Wilde has always been one of Hollywood's most striking women. Sharp features, athletic build, effortlessly cool. From her years on House to directing Booksmart, she built a reputation as someone who looked like she had everything dialed in. So when her appearance shifted dramatically during the 2026 press tour for her film The Invite, people didn't just notice. They reacted hard. At CinemaCon, red carpet lighting made it impossible to miss how much volume had disappeared from her face. Beauty analysts online called it the result of everything colliding at once: extreme fitness routines, suspected cosmetic work, and possible GLP-1 medication all layered on top of each other. Wilde hasn't confirmed or denied a single thing. Complete silence. But that didn't stop the commentary from going viral. Media figures called her appearance alarming on national television. Social media users posted comparisons that were deeply unkind. Wilde responded with dark humor, joking publicly that she's not dead, and referring to herself as a resurrected corpse. What makes her case worth paying attention to isn't the visual change on its own. It's how quickly the narrative spiraled without a single fact being confirmed. Wilde is a 42-year-old woman who changed physically, and before she could say a word about it, millions of strangers had already written the story for her. That dynamic alone tells you everything about where this conversation has gone. Lana Del Rey. Lana Del Rey's entire aesthetic was built on a very specific kind of beauty. Soft, cinematic, almost dreamlike. That fullness in her face wasn't just how she looked, it was part of the world she created. The music, the visuals, the mood, it all connected back to a look that felt timeless and intentionally untouched by Hollywood's usual pressures. So when that softness started disappearing, fans didn't just notice a physical shift, they felt like something they were personally connected to was changing in front of them. Entering 2025, Del Rey debuted a transformation so visible that top plastic surgeons, including Dr. Gary Linkhoff, dedicated entire video breakdowns to analyzing what had happened. Clinical conversations started referencing her face as a case study in rapid volume loss. And through all of it, Lana has said absolutely nothing. No confirmation, no denial, no acknowledgement at all. What makes her story land differently than most is the nature of what was lost. Because the face people loved wasn't just a face, it was a vibe, an era, a feeling fans had built playlists and entire emotional identities around. When that shifted into something sharper and leaner, the reaction online wasn't celebrity gossip. It was closer to grief. And that kind of emotional attachment is something no PR strategy can manage. Tori Spelling. Here's something you almost never hear in this conversation. Total, unapologetic honesty. Tori Spelling went on her Misspelling podcast in April 2024 and said it clearly. She tried Ozempic first. It didn't work for her, so she switched to Mounjaro and lost 40 pounds. Her exact words were, "Everyone admits it now. It's a different time, so I don't feel ashamed saying that."
Everyone naturally assumes, like, if you are on a weight loss medication, that it's Ozempic, because I think that was the first one that was a known thing. I tried Ozempic and it didn't work for me.
In an industry where the standard response is a carefully worded non-answer, that kind of transparency is genuinely refreshing. But here's where it gets interesting. Tori was naturally slim her entire adult life. She said her heaviest before pregnancy was only 120 pounds. So the medication didn't just bring her back to baseline, it pushed her well past it. Side-by-side photos from 2021 versus 2025 show a dramatically altered facial structure, much sharper cheekbones, a far more defined jawline, and a level of leanness that goes beyond what most people would associate with simply getting back in shape. And when she was photographed looking noticeably thinner on vacation in the Bahamas, months after claiming she'd stopped the medication, the skepticism online picked right back up. That's the quiet dilemma with these medications. Even when someone tells the truth about starting them, the question of whether they've actually stopped is one that nobody can verify from the outside. Erika Jayne. Erika Jayne's case might be the most entertaining entry on this entire list, and not because of the transformation itself, but because of how her own castmates handled it. When the Real Housewives of Beverly Hills star slimmed down noticeably, she credited hormones, specifically menopause. On Watch What Happens Live, Andy Cohen asked her directly, not Ozempically. She held firm, hormones. That's the story she went with.
I did come down in weight, and I did it hormonally.
Hormonally?
Yeah, I was
not Ozempically.
No, I was going through menopause.
Then her castmate Dorit Kemsley delivered what might be the single most quoted line in the entire Ozempic conversation. In a confessional, Dorit looked straight into the camera and said, "Oh, are hormones spelled Ozempic?"
Is hormones spelled Ozempic?
Another castmate, Sutton Strack, added that she'd been through menopause herself and still didn't look like that.
She said that she's going through menopause, so that's why she lost all the weight.
Well, I've been through the menopause, but I still don't look like that.
What makes Erika's case so fascinating isn't the denial on its own. It's that her own colleagues, on camera, on a nationally broadcast show, essentially called it out in real time. The entertainment value is obvious, but the deeper takeaway is that in an ecosystem like Beverly Hills reality television, where cosmetic enhancement is completely normalized, even the women who get procedures done regularly think the GLP-1 denials have crossed a line. When your own castmates aren't buying it on camera, the audience definitely isn't buying it at home. Heather Gay. When Heather Gay first showed up on The Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, she connected with audiences because she felt genuinely real, a woman breaking free from rigid beauty expectations, learning to accept herself on her own terms. Her openness, her vulnerability, her willingness to be imperfect on national television, that was the whole appeal. And for a while, it worked beautifully. So when she showed up visibly slimmer, confirmed she was using Mounjaro,
Was taking these GLP-1 medications, losing weight,
and casually told a red carpet interviewer that she'd lost some weight but still wants the fries, fans had a lot of feelings. What makes Heather's case cut deeper than most is what she said about how the world treated her differently afterward. She reflected publicly on the fact that being valued more in after results made her genuinely sad. She said the body positivity she'd been celebrated for was starting to feel like it had always been performative, not from her, but from the culture around her. Fans on Reddit were not gentle. Users called her transformation a sellout move. Others worried about what her 3 daughters were absorbing from watching their mother constantly reshape herself on camera. Despite the backlash, Heather has leaned into her new look. But her admission that being treated better in a smaller body felt deeply wrong is the honest, uncomfortable truth that most people in this conversation refuse to say out loud. Barbie Ferreira. Before Euphoria, Barbie Ferreira was one of the most visible plus-size models in fashion. She walked major runways. She did global campaigns. She represented something that a lot of young women genuinely connected with. The idea that beauty didn't require a sample size. Then she landed the role of Kat on Euphoria, and her profile got even bigger. And then, almost without warning, the body that built her entire platform changed dramatically. Mirror selfies surfaced showing a strikingly slimmer Ferreira. Comments flooded in immediately, with one going viral that read, "Ozempic's got a chokehold on the entire industry." A source reportedly told the Daily Mail that she'd slimmed down specifically to revitalize her career because acting opportunities had been drying up after Euphoria ended. If that's true, it tells a devastating industry story. The implication is that the same body that made her famous as a model was actively keeping her from getting acting work, and that the only path back into the room was to change it. Ferreira hasn't confirmed GLP-1 use. She hasn't addressed the rumors publicly at all, but her trajectory from celebrated body-positive icon,
I like it. I'm not gonna think about if I look thinner or bigger in this outfit ever. I'm gonna think about if I feel comfortable in it, if I like it, I think it's cool.
to someone fans describe as literally unrecognizable mirrors, a pattern that shows up over and over again on this list. And it raises the question nobody in the industry wants to answer. Was the body positivity era something Hollywood actually believed in, or was it just a moment they moved on from the second the alternative arrived? Claudia Oshry. Claudia Oshry, known online as Girl with No Job, was one of the first major influencers to confirm she was using GLP-1 medication.
Everybody wants to know if I'm taking Ozempic, Mounjaro, semaglutide. Obviously. Of course I'm
taking it.
She discussed it on her podcast, The Toast, back in 2023 and documented her 70-pound weight loss in real time for her audience. She hit her goal weight. She got the transformation she'd been working toward. By every external measure, she got exactly what she wanted. But here's the part of her story that most people never talk about. In a moment of raw honesty that she later deleted from the episode, Oshry said something that cut straight through all the celebration. She said, "Now I look back at pictures and see myself through this new lens, and it makes me feel sad." Comparisons from 2017 to 2025 show a drastically different facial structure, much more prominent cheekbones and chin, with the softness that previously defined her look completely gone. What Oshry described is something researchers are only now starting to study seriously: the experience of achieving the body you thought you wanted and then mourning the face you lost along the way. It's one thing to reach a number on a scale. It's something else entirely to look in the mirror and not recognize the person looking back at you. Oshry said the quiet part out loud, and the fact that she deleted it tells you everything about how that kind of honesty is received. Gemma Collins. If Part 1's Sharon Osbourne is the global cautionary tale, then Gemma Collins is the British version. The former TOEI star, beloved for her unapologetic, larger-than-life personality, confirmed in early 2025 that she'd been using Mounjaro and had dropped 2 dress sizes in a short period of time. She even turned it into a paid partnership, posting on Instagram with the caption, "Maybe she's born with it, maybe it's Mounjaro." But here's where Gemma's case gets genuinely fascinating and a little unsettling. While posing on holiday in Cyprus in late 2025, she admitted she was shocked at how fast her face had changed. She said the change had come on overnight and that she was afraid the weight loss was making her look older. But then, in the very same conversation, she said she hasn't got Ozempic Face yet and called it the dream right now. That one sentence is worth sitting with for a moment because it reveals something deeply contradictory, simultaneously fearing the aging that comes with rapid facial change while aspiring to the very look that causes it. A clinic in Cheshire actually published a clinical case study specifically about her face, documenting how the rapid fat loss had compromised the underlying support of her skin. She's become a real-time, publicly documented example of the phenomenon, and she still isn't entirely sure whether she should be worried about it or proud of it. Kyle Richards. Kyle Richards has been on camera for a very long time, from Little House on the Prairie to decades on The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. Her face has literally been documented under high-definition scrutiny for most of her life. So when she showed up looking significantly leaner and more defined than fans had ever seen her, the accusations were immediate and relentless. Richards has firmly denied GLP-1 use. She says the transformation comes from intense exercise and quitting alcohol.
I was just eating really, really well and exercising every single day, not missing, no alcohol, and I'm in the gym for 2 hours. I really put a lot of effort in.
She's been open about cosmetic work, including a rhinoplasty, liposuction, and Botox.
I'm very, very honest about everything I do. Yes, I had my nose done. I do get frustrated when people think I did so many more things that I...
But here's what makes her case so interesting from an analytical standpoint. Plastic surgeon Dr. Brandon Richland examined her 2026 appearance and noted that her remarkably preserved midface, on a frame that lean, points directly toward either a deep plane facelift or strategic fat grafting. In other words, her face is holding up too well for the level of leanness she's carrying, and that disconnect is what keeps the speculation alive. And then there's the family angle. Her 25-year-old daughter, Sofia Umansky, went on TikTok in 2025 and admitted she was on Mounjaro and that she was experiencing significant hair loss from it.
I started Mounjaro about 4 months ago. I would say maybe for the past 3 weeks to a month, I've noticed a dramatic hair loss situation.
One commenter wrote, "She was never overweight to begin with. Kyle, check in on your daughter." The mother denies. The daughter confirms. That contradiction is louder than any official statement could ever be. Amy Schumer. Amy Schumer might be the most important voice in this entire conversation, and not because of what she looks like, but because of what she's been willing to say when almost nobody else would. While most celebrities were either denying use or carefully praising the medications, Schumer did something almost nobody else had the nerve to do. She told the truth about how miserable the experience actually was. She confirmed using Ozempic, and then revealed the side effects were so severe she was stuck in bed and unable to function.
I tried Ozempic almost 3 years ago, GDF-15, which makes you extremely prone to nausea.
She later found out she carries a specific gene that makes her body extremely sensitive to nausea, which explained why the medication was so brutal for her system. She switched to Mounjaro, which she tolerated much better. But the real moment came when she called out the industry's dishonesty live on television. She said, "Everyone has been lying," saying, "Oh, smaller portions."
Everyone and their mom's gonna try it.
Yeah.
And now everybody lying. Everyone's like, a smaller portion. Like, shut the
You're on Ozempic.
She also confirmed getting liposuction and said so publicly. When I got lipo, I said I got lipo. In an era of managed narratives and strategic non-answers, Schumer's honesty made her the person who said what the entire industry was thinking, but refused to admit. Her willingness to talk about the hard, unglamorous reality of these medications did more to shift public awareness than 100 carefully worded celebrity Instagram posts. Kathy Bates. This is the entry that makes you pause before judging anyone else on this list too quickly. Kathy Bates, Oscar winner for Misery, currently starring in the Matlock reboot, has been dealing with serious health challenges for years. She was diagnosed with type 2 diabetes in 2017, and she didn't jump straight to medication. She spent years, real years, losing 80 pounds through lifestyle changes and discipline.
So I lost about 80 pounds, and then the last 15 or 20 is always the hardest.
Then she used Ozempic for the final 20. When the internet tried to reduce her entire 100-pound journey to a single prescription, she didn't hold back. In a Variety interview, she said, "People say, well, it was the Ozempic. It was the Ozempic. It took me years to do this." That quote hit hard because it captures something most of this conversation ignores: the frustration of someone who genuinely put in the work and then watched the entire narrative get flattened into one word. On the Drew Barrymore show, she shared something even more personal. She said, "I'm still figuring out what it's like to be without all of that weight. What was it for? What was I hiding myself from?" That kind of emotional honesty from a 77-year-old woman publicly processing what her body meant to her psychologically is the part of this conversation that almost never gets the attention it deserves. Melissa McCarthy. Melissa McCarthy built one of the biggest careers in comedy by being exactly who she was. Sookie in Gilmore Girls, Megan in Bridesmaids. She became one of the highest paid actresses in Hollywood without ever conforming to the industry's size expectations. That's what made her transformation so jarring for the people who loved her exactly as she was. The turning point in public conversation came in April, during the premiere of her film Unfrosted. That's when Barbra Streisand, yes, Barbra Streisand, left a comment on McCarthy's Instagram that simply read, "Did you take Ozempic?" The comment was quickly deleted, but screenshots had already gone viral. McCarthy responded beautifully. She posted a video holding a Streisand magazine and said, "Barbra Streisand knows I exist. She thought I looked good. I win the day." She's never confirmed or denied GLP-1 use. She's described her weight loss as a slow, deliberate 5-year process. But the visible acceleration into 2025 and 2026, the noticeable changes in her facial structure, has kept the conversation going. What's worth remembering is what McCarthy told Refinery 29 years before any of this happened. She said she never wanted her weight to be the most interesting thing about her. "If it is," she said, "I need to go have a lavender farm in Minnesota and give this up." That line hits differently now. Meghan Trainor. You genuinely can't talk about the GLP-1 era without talking about Meghan Trainor, because the contradiction at the center of her story is so enormous that it's become a cultural case study all on its own. In 2014, she released All About That Bass, a song that became a global anthem for body acceptance. The literal lyric was, "I ain't no size 2." That wasn't just a catchy line, it was a brand, a movement, a promise that millions of fans took personally. In 2025, Trainor confirmed she'd been using Mounjaro. She combined it with a dietitian and strength training after her second pregnancy at the Baby 2 Baby Gala that November. Her transformation was so dramatic that fans reportedly mistook her for Paris Hilton. But here's the detail that went completely viral. During live performances, she changed the lyrics of All About That Bass, replacing "I ain't no size 2" with "I got some new." That single lyric change became the most talked about moment of her entire year. One fan wrote, "She literally wrote the song against this." Another said, "Body positivity was always a lie." Trainor pushed back, saying she didn't expect that getting healthier would make people hate her for it. She also revealed she's now trying to rebuild the curves that the medication took away. She told an interviewer she lost so much that her famous silhouette looks completely different, and she's actively working to get some of it back. She's caught between the person the public fell in love with and the person she became. Christina Aguilera. Christina Aguilera has never confirmed GLP-1 use. And based on how she's handled every question about it, she probably never will. That strategic silence is exactly what makes her case so compelling, because the visual evidence is extensive, the expert commentary is specific, and her own words leave a very interesting door open without ever walking through it. In 2023, she told Allure, "I think we all can rely on a little help. Why not?" That's not a denial. That's not a confirmation. That's a sentence that a PR team spent a long time crafting. Entering 2025 and 2026, the 4-octave pop icon showed up looking approximately 40 to 50 pounds lighter than her recent baseline. At the Breakthrough Prize ceremony and the burlesque musical premiere, the changes were impossible to miss. Plastic surgeon Dr. Gary Modicki publicly noted that the kind of volume loss visible in her face accelerates visible aging by altering the underlying support structure. Another surgeon suggested she'd likely dissolved previous filler work before getting additional procedures to manage the resulting changes. On Instagram, she's been defiant, telling followers, "This is a reminder that you are your own storyteller." The story she's telling is one of transformation and confidence. But the story the public is reading is one that her silence has made louder than any admission ever could. Ariana Grande. This might be the most complicated entry on the entire list because the conversation around Ariana Grande during the Wicked era became something much bigger than celebrity speculation. It turned into a genuine cultural reckoning about how we talk about this stuff and whether public concern is ever truly concern or just scrutiny wearing a different outfit. Grande's appearance during the Wicked press tours in 2024 and 2025 sparked a massive wave of online commentary. Fans posted comparisons. People wrote that something was clearly wrong. Others called for intervention. But Grande's response was consistent and firm. In 2023, she told fans that the version of her body they remembered as healthy was actually the period of her life when she was struggling the most.
The body that you've been comparing my current body to was the unhealthiest version of my body.
She said that era was the lowest point she'd been through. Lizzo. If there's one person who spent the last decade telling the entire world that everybody is beautiful and meant it on a global, Grammy-winning, stadium-filling scale, it's Lizzo. Multiple awards, sold-out tours, a brand built entirely on radical self-acceptance and the celebration of being exactly who you are, at any size. She didn't just represent body confidence. For millions of fans, she was body confidence, which is exactly why the past 2 years have been so culturally jarring. As GLP-1 medications swept through Hollywood, Lizzo used her platform to sound the alarm. She spoke publicly about what she called the erasure of plus-size representation, calling it out by name while most people in the industry stayed quiet. But here's the complicated part. Even as she advocated loudly against the trend, her own appearance was visibly changing, and the internet noticed immediately. Clinical analysts and aesthetic commentators started referencing her in professional discussions about the facial changes associated with rapid weight loss. The painful irony is almost too precise to be real. The loudest voice defending size diversity, the one person who seemed completely immune to the pressure, found herself caught in the exact same conversation she was fighting against. Whether she used medication or not, her story proves something that applies to every single person on this list. In 2026, the narrative attaches itself to every woman whose body changes. No one gets an exemption, not even the woman who made a career out of telling you you're perfect exactly as you are. Demi Moore. And then there's Demi Moore. If this entire list has a single defining image, it's the moment she walked the red carpet at the 2026 Actor Awards in a black Schiaparelli gown, and the entire internet stopped talking about her career, her Oscar-nominated performance in The Substance, everything she'd accomplished, and focused entirely on how much her body had changed. At 63, Moore appeared noticeably thinner than at any previous point in her decades-long career. The outline of her collarbones and shoulders was clearly visible through the fabric. Some observers noted what appeared to be a slight tremor as she posed for photos. Days later, at the premiere of her film I Love Boosters, she wore a high-slit violet dress with an orange ribbon sash that some suggested was being used to keep the garment from slipping on her reduced frame. Moore hasn't confirmed or denied GLP-1 use, but what she has discussed publicly, in interviews going back years, is a deeply honest history of struggling with perfectionism and the intense aesthetic demands the industry places on women. She once told The Guardian, "I realized being thin did not equal happiness." Whether that realization still holds today, only she knows, but her 2026 red carpet moment, the visible concern, the global reaction, has become the single most referenced image in this entire conversation. And it's the image this era will be remembered by. Here's what's actually worth understanding about everything you just watched. GLP-1 medications like Ozempic and Mounjaro were designed for a specific clinical purpose, managing type 2 diabetes and treating obesity under direct medical supervision. For the patients who need them, they're genuinely life-changing, but the face doesn't know the difference between medical necessity and cosmetic ambition. When weight leaves the body rapidly, the skin doesn't get advance notice. It can't keep up. That's why dermatologist Dr. Paul Jared Frank coined the term Ozempic Face, and why the American Academy of Facial Plastic Surgery reported a 50% increase in corrective facial procedures in a single year, directly tied to the volume loss these medications cause. What every case on this list shares, whether the person admitted it, denied it, or stayed completely silent, is a biological reality that no amount of filler, surgery, or carefully managed PR can override. The body keeps a record that the narrative can't edit, and the conversation about what that means for the industry, for the culture, and for anyone watching at home is still just getting started. If this one stayed with you, hit subscribe because we're just getting started and there's a lot more on the way.